Well, the White House says that 650,000 jobs were created from the stimulus package that they passed in February. But with more than 7 million jobs lost since December 2007, will we need additional measures to create jobs? Daniel Hamermesh is a labor economist at the University of Texas, one of the economists who helped create a tax credit plan in the 1970s to create more jobs. He joins us now from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Good morning to you, Professor. Can we talk about jobs being created at this point when we're still seeing firings? Can we talk about hirings?
Sure we can. I mean, at any time, even when a lot of firing and laying off is occurring, other firms are creating new jobs. This is kind of churning in the labor market. And the question is just how many new hirings we might create at the same time that we are losing other jobs.
When you hear these figures that were released from the White House, 650,000 jobs created by the stimulus package, is that just stopping the bleeding? I mean, that's saving positions. How real is that?
I think, in fact, 650,000 does not sound like a high estimate at all. It stops a little bit of the bleeding, but of course there's an awful lot of blood still being let. I think most of that blood is now flown out, and I think we're starting to turn around. The only question is how rapidly we turn around and what we can do if we want to make the turnaround a bit faster.
It seems like the fundamental question here, though, is why would businesses start hiring right now if we're talking about being in the early stages of recovery? I mean, how do you get them to, despite higher productivity levels, despite the fact they're cutting costs and liking the results, to then go out and start spending again by bringing people on staff? How do you get corporations to hire?
Two ways, and I think most important, and the method I prefer, is by making labor at the margin somewhat cheaper. So this credit that we did in the 1970s said to employers, look, if you expand employment by more than 2%, any extra beyond that will subsidize a large chunk of the wage costs of that additional labor. And that's the idea proposed now. You expand employment, anything beyond that will give you a large subsidy on those new employees. That'll get people to hire. Again, the effects may not be huge, but on a per dollar basis, it seems like a pretty good buy indeed.
Well, it would certainly make it more affordable for a corporation to hire, but the linchpin in the argument is the assumption that they would do it, that they would put any money out.
Sure, though. I mean, demand is picking up, and the question is how they meet the demand. Do they meet it simply by working existing employees harder? Yes, as you said, that increases productivity. But if labor is cheaper at the margin, if the new laborers being employed are cheaper, they also work along that dimension, and that'll expand employment, reduce unemployment somewhat. It's not a panacea. It's not going to drive unemployment down a couple of % by any means. But it will produce, my guess is, depending on how generous the credit is, a couple of hundred, 300, 400,000 jobs. That's a lot of people. It's a tiny drop in the bucket of the total labor force, but it's a lot of people and a pretty good bang for the buck.
How do you get traction for this idea right now? I mean, what are you hearing in some of the conversations in Washington?
I think the crucial question now is, do you want to do anything? I mean, there's no question in my mind the economy bottomed out probably in July by the time we call a turning point next year. July would probably be the bottom of the recession. The only question is how fast we turn around, and most important, do you want to incur a still larger deficit, maybe make things go up a little bit faster, or do you want to just wait and let things take their natural upward course? I'm not sure we should do anything for a second stimulus package, but if we do something, the idea of a marginal employment tax credit, or a jobs tax credit as this is called, seems like a pretty good way to do things.
All right. Well, it's definitely an idea that we're bouncing around here, and we wanted to get your insights. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, Professor Daniel Hamermesh of the University of Texas.